Welcome back to Rebecca and Rebecca, where we love books. I'm Rebecca Reed, coming to you from a chilly Indiana, and this is my partner in books, Rebecca Yager from Dallas, Texas. How are you doing, Rebecca?
Hey, hanging in there. It's January. Can you believe it's the start of a new year already? Here we are.
No, no. On our fourth season. This is the first
Wow.
episode of our fourth season. That's
Welcome,
pretty
season
cool.
4. And
Yeah.
thank you for those who have followed us from the beginning. And if you're new here, welcome. We are very glad you're here. So
Absolutely. And as you know, we try to kind of mix up our genres a little bit. And this time we really mixed it up a little, maybe a little too much for my partner here, but this is right up my alley. I love this genre. We're doing a fantasy book by Kara Swanson called Ignite. So we're going to chat about that. But first, let's give you a little insight into the book. So Rebecca's going to read the back cover copy for us so we can have a little bit of a clue what we're talking about here.
there you go. This is Ignite. Can Mara survive in a world where the fire in her veins is worth killing for? In a frozen wasteland, suffocating beneath a dying sun, Mara is a young phoenix raised by her father to explode at his command. He's the only one who can help her control her fire, and Mara desperately follows his orders to protect their phoenix family from relentless human hunters. Her sheltered existence is shattered when her family mysteriously vanishes, thrusting Mara into a perilous quest to find them. Along the way, she unravels a devastating truth. Her people may not be the innocent victims she's been taught to believe. When she comes face to face with the kind hearted Eli, she begins to wonder if the humans aren't the monsters she's always feared. What if the greatest danger doesn't lie in the icy world outside, but in the truth of who Mara really is? And this is book 1 of The Phoenix Flame, as it's called. So that is
Yes, and
Ignite.
it's a duology, I believe, so there is one more book to come from in this series. Well, I know what I think because I love fantasy anyways. So I want to hear what you have to say because I'm not sure. I want to know first of all. Just let's just do a general overall, right, of the book. So, um, did you like it? Did you not like it? What did did you like Mara? Did you not like Mara? I'm curious.
No, I liked Mara. Um, I think Kara Swanson, by the way, is an excellent writer. I wrote in my notes she paints word pictures because her description of the setting of this icy world where they are, and then later on the different worlds that she sees with Eli are fantastic. As you mentioned, this is not my genre. Doesn't mean it's a bad book. It's not my taste. But I love through the course of doing Rebecca and Rebecca that we do read outside of our usual genres. It can open up new worlds for us um, on that. So I loved the themes in the book. I love the
Hmm.
description of the book, the characters. I mean, you got to love Eli, you got to love Mara. And is it
Yeah,
Mara? You listened to it, right? Is it Mara or Mara? It is
it's
Mara?
Mara. Yeah,
Mara,
Mara.
okay.
That's how, at least that's how the narrators said it. So, yes.
And I believe it is a story that does need to continue. The characters are
Yeah.
there. There's still lots to wrap up with it. So, but yeah, not my genre. And I think, and let me look real quick. It is kind of a young adult.
Yeah, I believe it's considered a young adult story. It's kind of a coming into your own story. I don't know, coming of age isn't exactly the right thing, although she starts out really young. I mean, there are
Right.
bits of, there's scenes where Mara's very young,
Hmm.
with her mother, and the flashbacks more than scenes necessarily. There's a lot of
Right.
that flashbacks to her youth before she was adopted by this group of phoenixes, and they live beneath the ground in a heat duct, kind of, is basically what it is. That because it's a frozen world, the sun is dying. It's a frozen world. It's very inhospitable. Heat is, if you don't have heat, you die. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what makes the phoenixes so valuable, and that's why they're hunted, because they carry in their veins, instead of blood per se, I mean it's kind of like blood, but it's heated, it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
um, and so by draining the phoenix's blood, the humans and others, not just the humans but
Right.
everybody, really can combat the freezing
Mm-hmm.
inhospitability of this climate that they're in. So there's a lot of stuff going on in this story. I
Mm-hmm.
also love the themes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the themes were amazing and how she works them in. She's also a master at like delaying telling you things, like just leading you along the breadcrumbs. She's really, really good at breadcrumbs,
Yeah.
and you and reveals at the exact moment you need them. And so the storytelling that Kara does in this book is phenomenal. Whether or
Mm-hmm.
not you enjoy this type of story, you have
Right.
to like appreciate her storytelling and how every all the layers, because this is a very multi-layered book, so it's quite complicated. There's a lot going on. There's a fairly large cast of characters,
Mm-hmm.
although I don't feel like it's hard to keep them straight because they're kind of grouped into different categories. And
Mm-hmm.
but there are a lot of people um, to keep track of, so to speak. But it's more the layers of Mara herself. There's a lot of layers to Mara as well, and most of them she doesn't even realize she has
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of a unpeeling of Mara's layers that we see
Mm-hmm.
throughout the story. Um,
Yeah, I
I mean,
think
it's
you say that really well because we're right along there with Mara as she's discovering even herself and her strength and her own power and her own fears, even.
Yes. Tempering was one of the things that I wrote down as a theme. I feel like there's a lot of tempering in this story, and by that, tempering is where you take the hot metal and you plunge it into the cold. So there's a lot of, to make the steel stronger, and
Mhm.
you have to hammer it into shape. You heat it up, you hammer it, you shape it, and then you plunge it into the water to temper it. And there's a lot of events in this story that happen to Mara, to Eli, to
Mhm.
others that are associated with them, that really throw that dash of cold water on them after they've been kind of beat up. And it like to make them stronger, and they have to be strong by the end of the book because there's some major, major, major challenges that they have to face. So I thought that was really interesting how she kind of carried that through the whole thing. And every time you think, okay, they're done, something else comes up and they have more to learn, and there's more to learn, and there's more to reveal, and there's so many secrets in this that are built into the fabric of this society and this world that
Mhm.
have been lost for
Mhm.
various reasons. And so we kind of, and only like certain groups know about certain things and other groups know about other things, and there's not a lot of sharing because everybody's afraid of everybody, and nobody wants to you know take a chance to, because it's dangerous. It's really, really dangerous
Mhm.
place to live. um,
Mhm.
so
It, it is a dangerous world, and totally lost what I was going to say.
oh.
That's okay. Um, but to watch Mara also face, as it said in the description, her family mysteriously disappears, and then she has to face up to some things, and that have been ingrained with her all her life.
Hmm.
And then to all of a sudden have all that shattered in front of you, or is it shattered, or is it the truth? And to discover the truth. So this is a truth-seeking book, I think.
Hmm.
She's learning about herself. She's learning about her family. She's learning the truth about the world around her. And the image of this icy world, I picture, like a huge glacier, like the whole world's like this huge glacier with this pale, pale sun, and you're cold reading it. And, you know,
Yeah.
um, but as she, anyway, as Mara goes along and is trying to seek the truth, what is the truth, discern the truth, and she's growing in wisdom as well as strength, I think. And
Yes.
for any age, the book, by the way, is geared towards grades 8 through 12. It says, and I think that's pretty fair, although adults will enjoy it too. But I wouldn't go
Yeah.
any younger than 8th grade. I think with
No.
some of the scenes, I would, yeah, I don't think this
Yeah,
is a
there's
book for
a
any younger than
I
that.
mean, they're hunted, so, I mean, you can imagine
Mm,
there are some really hard things that happen, especially when you go to like, her past and what
mhm,
has happened to her in the past, and she does flashback to that, and there's some really difficult things there. I mean, at first, she's terrified of herself, really.
mhm,
She doesn't trust herself. She doesn't believe she's been led to believe that she can't do anything on her own without her father's help or
mhm,
without the rest of the Phoenix's help. She's been taught to fear her fire, her wings, her even her like her memories, all of that she's been taught to fear. And when you're terrified of everything that you are as a person, I mean, it leaves you very dependent on
mhm,
everyone else, and that's where she starts.
mhm,
And so the disappearances it mentions of her family, like, leaves her completely bereft. She has nobody then to rely on, and so she's forced, that's that tempering again. She's shoved into this new situation where she has to either lay down and die or stand up and do something, and she has to make a choice. And that kind of thing happens over and over, um, through that. So
yeah,
learning, how to be herself is really I'd say that's the journey that she's on. She has to
yes,
learn to be herself. Um, and also, like, she doesn't understand anything about compassion or empathy because she's been taught to fear only. And so there's
mhm,
a lot of learning about how to be compassionate, how to have empathy, and that's where Eli kind of comes in. He
yeah,
teaches her because he's the opposite of her. He doesn't fear himself. He how would you say, like, he doesn't fear himself as himself. Like, he sees himself as one who can give of himself to save others to the point of his own destruction, really. It's
that's true.
it's like a ultra compassion. It's like compassion to your own detriment.
He's
Um,
he's self-sacrificing. He's got a great sense of self and what he believes his duty is and what he should do.
yeah,
And it's through that duty that sounds very, I don't know,
yeah,
militaristic, but it's a duty born of the compassion and the heart for others. And Mara hasn't found that sense within her yet because she's again living underneath the ice. They're even hidden away. And you're right, she hasn't been taught the compassion and the giving of herself. She's only been taught to stifle herself,
right.
and so it's a great contrast between her and Eli. Um, let's talk about this for a little. This is one area where I kind of struggled. Eli is a human, and Mara's been taught to fear the humans. Yet Mara isn't a full phoenix. She's like a girl that has a phoenix that can turn into a phoenix blossom. How would you describe?
Right, so the phoenixes aren't birds. I mean, I think our traditional idea of what a phoenix is has been turned upside down here.
Okay,
The
yeah.
premise is that these are phoenixes, but they're not phoenixes like constantly being a bird. Like, um they're humanoid with different, like, internal properties. And so the idea of the phoenix, like, combusting, self-combusting and then rising from its own ashes is basically kept in this story. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it happens a little bit differently than what maybe we would consider what the fable, the, like, what do you call it, the legends and that are. But I that's one question I want to ask when we get Kara on next, in a couple weeks here,
Mm-hmm.
is is she a full-blooded phoenix? Because I was never 100% sure if she was. And Eli isn't. we know Eli is not. He's part Phoenix and part human. And so how does that, difference affect them? And because I was not sure, I really wasn't 100% sure if she was full-blooded. I think so, but I want to ask that because I'm not like I want to ask how that affects, the dynamics there, because there's a lot of things that I think we're going to find out more about in book 2, because it's going to deal a lot more with the rest of, like, how the world is going to either survive or die under this
Right.
dying sun. And there's all the things. Ziva has showed up.
Ziva is there, I can
Yeah,
tell.
Ziva has
Ziva,
made an appearance. There's her
a
squeaky.
squeaky
She's
toy.
squeaking. Yes. So, but yeah, that's one thing that I am really, like,
And I
interested in.
think that was part of some of my difficulty with the story. And again, not my genre. Writing fantastic. I could picture the world beautifully. I had a good clear picture of even Eli. I did not have a clear picture in my head of what Mara even looked like. And then when she turned into the descriptions of when she phoenixed out, I want to say that turned into
Flamed. Flamed, I think is what was
flamed
that the
out.
term? Flamed or something, I think.
Was vivid and
Mhm.
very good. So I could see that kind of, but I couldn't see Mara when she wasn't flamed out. And so I just had this, as you're reading along, and it's hard not to, when I relate to her feelings, I relate to what she was going through, but I didn't have a clear picture of her. And again, I'm not the audience for this book at all, and I don't read fantasy, so I just don't want anyone to think, oh, well, it's a terrible book, and you're not going
No,
to do that
no.
just because I'm struggling with the genre. I'm glad to read outside my genre, and again, it's easy to see how good a writer Kara is, and what she's created here is fantastic. It truly is. These are just some of the things I struggle with as a non-fantasy reader.
Yes, I see her as human looking. I see her
I
as human looking. I don't think she, and I think they did kind of have some kind of like glow sometimes, like the blood would, like, in certain
mm, mm,
circumstances, might mark them, as different. But
mm.
I think in general, she just looked like a regular human most of the
So
time.
she and Eli
Well, they
together
had,
for the
well,
most
some
looked
of them
like
had
humans.
wings. The wings would be the only thing, right? But her
Right,
wings had something had happened. We won't
right.
talk about that because
No, no
it's
spoilers.
kind of important to the story. So we'll let you discover that on your own. But there
Yeah.
is that wing issue. So they did have wings, like phoenixes did have wings. So that would put them as different from humans. But I think the rest of their bodies was pretty much
Let
void.
me see. This is good questions to ask Kara because I think, I don't know, maybe if I had had a clearer picture, and again, I think it's just me, I'm a certain age and not my genre, that I didn't clear. I could see Eli clearer. I could see Eli's brother a little clearer than I could see Mara.
Okay.
So it was, I don't know why I got, you know, stuck there. Um, I have a question for you.
No?
What did you think
Yes.
of the ending?
Well, you definitely, if you are one who does not like to wait, don't read this until the other one comes out. I'm going to tell you that right now, because it is okay. This book is full of twists. There are twists after twists after twists, because about the time you think you've got it figured out, you are wrong. So you got to throw the toy. But the ending, I totally did not see that coming at all.
At
Not
all.
at all. Zero, zero, zero did I see that coming. None.
Okay, so surprise ending, but truthfully, and this has been in some reviews on Amazon, a little bit too much of a cliffhanger for me. Again, like
It's a
you
lot.
say, make sure the next book is ready because it cliffhangery.
Yeah,
But
if you can't
again,
wait,
with all the twists and turns in the book, well, that's why you want to keep reading for that second book because
oh,
there's
yeah.
there's more of the story left to tell. There really
Yeah, and
is.
this will be one that I will want to reread this before I read book 2,
Yeah,
because
because
there
of
is
the
there is a lot. It is deep. It is
Hmm.
super deep. And I mean, you can get, I mean, for any teachers out there that want to teach fantasy and you want to teach like how to write deep stories,
Hmm.
this would be a
Hmm.
good one for that.
Hmm.
Or for writers who just want to learn, like, how do I not reveal until this
Oh yeah.
exact second that I have to? This
Yeah.
book, perfect for that. You could dissect this book. It could take you a really long time to get
Yeah.
all the layers like sorted out in this
Yeah.
book, in this story. And there is a ton of ways this could go because there's a lot of threads here that have to be
Hmm.
gathered. A lot of
Hmm.
threads that have to be gathered.
In fact,
I
that's
do feel
that
like
was
her
impressive writing that way.
very,
Those
yeah,
threads.
I do feel like her arc, the fact that she was looking to just to figure out who she herself is, I do feel like that was completed. I felt like she figured out who she was, and she had made a choice. Like, she made a choice to be the way she wanted to be.
Mara has accepted, yeah, and made the choice. You're right.
Yes, other powers that be are conspiring against that, of course,
Yes.
and that's where the cliffhanger comes in, is the
Yeah.
powers that be, and the conflict is totally not resolved. I mean,
It,
a few conflict, the personal conflicts are fairly
I was
resolved.
about to say that has resolved. It was just this kind of twist ending
What's
that
the big overarching conflict
yes.
that was never, it wasn't going to be resolved anyway because there's a book two. So, but I mean, there's a lot of players in the mix in this conflict. There are a lot of factors. There's a lot of pieces on the chessboard, and the they were moved in a very unexpected way
Hmm.
at the end
Hmm.
to leave you with a game where you cannot see who's going to win.
Hmm.
You have no clue. Like, at this point, it could go either way. There's
Hmm.
both queens are on the board. Everybody, there's a lot of pawns left. There's a lot of people, players in this game still,
Hmm.
and so that'll make book two uh, just really incredibly interesting. And the conflict hasn't slowed down one little whit through the entire thing. Like I said,
Yeah.
her arc is completed. I mean, as
Right.
far as what she needed to learn,
Right.
and her change is has perfectly well happened. She has,
Mhm.
so it was a good stopping point, but it was a terrible stopping point at the same time, just from the reader's point of view. From the author's point of view, it was a natural place to end, I feel like, but like for a reader, it's horrible. Like,
Well, because it
totally.
was so unexpected to me, so unexpected, and it's like, or for you're kind of going, oh, wait a minute, my spidey senses started to tingle just a little bit there
Yeah.
towards the end, and then before you know it's the end and it's there again for writers looking at the layers of complexity in this story, looking at a simple thing like how she writes the setting, how she describes these worlds that they go to with Eli and the humans and this where she ends up is just oh my gosh, so worth studying. And then how to drop the breadcrumbs. I think you said that really well. Of we are right there with Mara, and we're just as baffled, and we're cheering for her, and it's like her world went upside down and crazy and
Yeah.
sideways every which way it
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
You know.
And I mean, there's a lot of people or groups, I guess. It's not really people, it's like groups that you have to decide as a reader. Do I trust this group? Are
Yeah.
they telling the truth? Because there's a lot of false trails that are laid in this, and some of them are embedded super deep in the fabric of the universe itself.
Mhm.
That it's super hard to just untangle who is
Mhm.
telling the truth, who is not telling the truth, and
Mhm.
are they telling the truth in this moment, but not in this moment. There's a lot of unreliable narrators in this story, which makes it why it's so surprising and why it's so, you know, hard to see the twist. I did not ever trust that one group that ended up
Mhm.
doing this to her. I never
Okay.
did trust them, even though I feel like she did for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
I never really did. I kind of held to the fact that they had said it so many times that these people weren't trustworthy that I almost was like, okay. Um, but I also thought that what she chose and the way she chose to do it was totally in keeping with her like change of beliefs for herself and also her priorities that she had established even way back. Like she's very loyal and she has learned, and she doesn't want to, even though she's found out some things about the people that she was raised by, she would not sacrifice them. There
Right.
was never, so loyalty. I mean, she has excellent qualities. She's just been lied
Oh,
to her whole
Mara?
life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
But,
Yep.
naive
Excellent.
but loyal. But ooh, does she have to learn? She has to learn so
Oh,
much through this story of discovery and like you said, the fabric of this whole universe.
mhm.
Like you said, you didn't trust the certain group. That again, no spoilers. That's where my spidey senses started tingling. Same thing. It's like, no, wait a minute, but by
Yeah.
that time, here's the twist, and you're like, oh,
Yes. Yes,
or no.
that's true. I mean, there are some really inventive characters like the and like animals and like beings populating this world. I mean,
Yes.
if you're a fan of inventive monsters slash animals slash
Creatures.
beings, creatures, I don't even know what to call them
Yeah.
all. This is definitely for you. And one of the things I really liked was how they used the feathers so much for
Oh
all
yeah.
kinds of
Oh
things. I
yeah.
mean, it was incredible the imagination that, Kara um, put into this and how it showed up. I thought
Yeah.
it was really interesting.
No,
So, yeah,
the feathers were a huge part of this. So, um, it is exciting to talk about. Again, not completely my cup of tea, but when you dig deep into the story, oh my word, there's so much there. And that's what makes it exciting as a reader. And
mhm,
that's why it's good to try the different genres because you just never know what you're going to discover. And I discovered a really great writer. I discovered someone I need to go back and read her setting. I need to go back and read her threads of how she winds things together if I'm going to learn anything for my own writing. So um,
yeah.
that was really good.
So we're looking forward to talking to Kara. We have all kinds of questions ready for her, and that'll come up later this month. So we're excited about that. Um, and let's see what else do
In
we need to tell them?
February next month, we are having romantic suspense, and we're going to be talking with Kelly Underwood, and we'll review her book Guarding Truth, which is part of the Elite Guardians spinoff that Lynette Eason first conceptualized. If you go back to the Elite Guardians, and this is a spin-off of one of those books. So it's Guarding Truth, and that's coming up in February. And Kelly is a fairly new to me author as well. So I think it's going to be great to talk to her.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I look forward to that.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, we're always excited that you're here. We're excited that you're um, listening to us, watching us. And if you need to check out all the episodes that we've published, you can go to our website, rebeccaandrebecca.com. We have all the links and things there that you can find. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Spotify and wherever else that you get your podcasts. We appreciate that very much, and share to anyone you think might enjoy our stories, that the chats that we have. So
Yeah, please do. We always appreciate y'all being here and being a part of this. And thank you for carrying us through to year number 4. So here we are.
yeah.
All right. Well, we look forward to talking to Kara next time, Kara Swanson. Meanwhile, check out Ignite. There's, yeah, find something new. Or if you love fantasy, you're going to love it for sure.
Yeah,
Right?
that's true. Plus, the cover is gorgeous.
Can you tell? I don't know if you can see it well enough. Do I need to bring it up?
No,
But it is.
it's
It's a
pretty.
beautiful.
All
It's
right.
amazing.
Well, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. And until next time, we will be here talking about books, and we hope you join us. Bye.
Thanks for being here. Bye.